Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into one of history's most pivotal battles, the Battle of Yarmukh. And this, folks, isn't just a story about swords and shields. It's an incredible masterclass in how pure, brilliant strategy can topple an empire.
All right, so here's how we're going to breathe this down. First, we'll set the stage, looking at the two massive powers about to collide. Then, we'll get into the game plans, one that looked perfect on paper and another that was, well, incredibly gutsy. After that, we hit the turning point, the decisive moment of the battle. And finally, we'll zoom out and see what this whole thing teaches us about how underdogs can pull off the impossible.
So picture this. It's the year 636 AD. You've got the Eastern Roman Empire, a global superpower for, centuries. And they've decided it is time to squash this new, rising threat, the Islamic Caliphate. The Emperor, Heraclius, is a seasoned military commander himself, and he is not messing around. He's bringing the full might of the empire to bear.
Now, let's just look at the matchup here, because it really tells you everything you need to know. On one side, the Romans are rolling in with a massive professional army of 150,000 troops. These guys are well-fed, well-armed, the best of the best. And on the other side, about 40,000 Muslim soldiers, mostly tribesmen, not nearly as well equipped. I mean, on paper, this shouldn't even be a fight. It's a classic David versus Goliath situation, no question about it.
So, the Roman Emperor, Heraclius, comes up with what he thinks is a totally foolproof plan. He's not just aiming for a simple victory. No, his goal is to systematically wipe the Muslim armies off the map. And he's going to use his biggest advantage to do it, his sheer overwhelming numbers.
The plan? It was as simple as it was brutal. See, the Muslim forces weren't all in one place. They were spread out across the region in 4 separate armies. So Heraclius figures, okay, we'll use our 5 armies to pin each one of them down, surround them, and then crush them one by one before they can even think about helping each other. It's a classic divide-and-conquer strategy.
You can see the idea here. It's this giant pincer movement. Roman armies would push in from the coast, from the north, from all sides. The whole goal was to create these little pockets, trap the smaller Muslim forces inside, and then just squeeze. No escape, no chance to regroup, just total annihilation.
But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. The Muslim commander, a man named Khalid bin Walid, sees this giant Roman trap closing in. And instead of panicking, he comes up with a countermove so audacious, so risky, it's something the Romans never, ever saw coming.
You see, Khalid wasn't going to try and defend everywhere at once. That was a losing game. Instead, he decided to lean on a core military principle, something generals have used for centuries: concentration of force. The idea is simple. If you can't be strong everywhere, you better be overwhelmingly strong somewhere that matters.
So what does Khalid do? He orders a full-blown retreat. He tells all 4 of his armies to give up ground, to abandon their positions, and to march to one single meeting point, the plain of Yarmukh. With that one single command, he makes Rome's entire pincer strategy completely useless. Suddenly, the Roman armies aren't the hunters anymore. Now, they're all converging on a single, united enemy, on ground that Khalid specifically chose because it was perfect for his fast-moving cavalry. He turned the tables completely.
Okay, so the stage is set. After weeks of posturing and failed talks, the two armies are finally facing each other. Let's get into the battle itself, a 6-day slugfest that ends in a truly stunning climax.
And this was the fundamental problem, right? This was the puzzle Khalid had to solve. He couldn't just trade blows with the Romans. That was a surefire way to lose. He had to outsmart them, to create a weakness and then exploit it ruthlessly.
For the first 4 days, it was an absolute meat grinder. The Romans just kept hammering away at the Muslim lines, throwing wave after wave of soldiers trying to break through. And every single time a part of the line started to crumble, Khalid would send in his ace in the hole, the Mobile Guard. This was his elite cavalry reserve, about 4,000 strong. They were like firefighters, rushing to whatever part of the line was in trouble, pushing the Romans back and stabilizing everything. It was brilliant, but it was exhausting.
And then, on day 5, something critical happens. The Roman commander hesitates. Maybe his troops are tired, maybe he's rethinking his strategy, but for whatever reason, he pauses. And that was the mistake. That one moment of indecision was all Khalid needed. He saw his opening, and he knew it was time to stop defending and go on the attack.
And what he does next is pure military genius. It's a 3-step move. First, the bait. He launches a fake attack on one side of the Roman line, forcing them to send in their own cavalry reserves to deal with it.
Perfect. Now, with their reserves committed, Khalid takes his mobile guard and leads them on this huge sweeping ride completely around the other side of the battlefield. They pop up, as if out of nowhere, right behind the Roman cavalry, who are now caught between a rock and a hard place, getting attacked from the front and the rear. And just like that, it was a total catastrophic collapse. The Roman cavalry, completely ambushed and disoriented, just broke and fled. They completely abandoned their own infantry. And those foot soldiers were now trapped. In front of them was the Muslim army, and behind them was a deep, steep ravine. There was absolutely nowhere to run.
So how in the world did this happen? How did a massive, professional, imperial army just disintegrate like that? Well, when you look at the aftermath, the reasons become crystal clear, and they offer some timeless lessons on how the little guy can come out on top.
I mean, when you put it side by side like this, the difference is just night and day. On the Muslim side, you had a plan that was solid but also flexible. They were aggressive, they took the initiative. Khalid's use of his reserves was gutsy and perfectly timed. On the Roman side, their plan was rigid. They gave up the initiative, their use of reserves was hesitant, and maybe most importantly, they completely underestimated who they were fighting.
The final result was one of the most decisive victories in military history. That massive Roman army of 150,000, it wasn't just defeated, it was effectively gone, wiped off the map. And with it, Roman control over the entire region of Syria ended, permanently.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here, the question that the Battle of Yarmukh leaves us with. In any competition, any conflict, what's really more important? Having more stuff, more troops, better weapons, or having a better plan? Yarmukh is a powerful reminder that sometimes, just sometimes, superior thinking can beat superior force every single time.